National spokesperson Pulemabe. This is, ladies and gentlemen, a long overdue presser of the African National Congress. Long overdue to an extent that we thought it's better late than never. Pule, at some point, if you were to ask a question, will explain what were the delays, because initially we wanted to have this conversation with you and the public early in the week. However, I must state from the onset that the African National Congress, as with all other South Africans, appreciates the work that has been done by this commission. We commend the hard work and deliberate manner and the conduct in which the commission, the investigators, the evidence leaders, the chairperson and other members of the commission have dedicated their time to do their work to conduct these hearings. We further want to appreciate the fact that under sometimes very difficult conditions, they've been able to deal with some of the most difficult testimony that had come before this commission. Our understanding and appreciation of the work of this commission as the African National Congress evolves around three principles. Firstly, it's our continuous support about the work of this commission. Secondly, continued support to extent that we want this commission to unearth the rot of corruption so that we are able to correct, as directed by the 54th National Conference, about what needs to be done to cleanse the state institutions, making sure that we restore and re-establish trust among our people, build confidence in terms of public institutions and law enforcement agencies, but also deal with corruption. We are aware that in the recent few days, there's been despicable campaigns led by other organizations, EFF on one hand and the TA, to discredit some of the work that is done by this commission. Firstly, discredit even the witnesses that have come before here. We have seen the attack on Pravin Gordhan, Comrade Pravin Gordhan, which is not just about Pravin Gordhan, but using his testimony to attack the integrity of this commission, including victimization and intimidating other witnesses that are yet to come before this commission. We think this is an element of what we call Trumpism. And Trumpism, in the main, Trumpism thrives on three elements. Firstly, on fear, on hate, but also on race polarization, insults, and vulgar. And we think we must unite all South Africans, both black and white, to defeat the demon of Trumpism. Because if we were to allow Trumpism to thrive, it will undermine democracy. We have seen some of the insults that have been held against Pravin Gordhan, not so much about him, but to undermine the African National Congress, attack the African National Congress, attack the integrity of this commission, attack and intimidate some of the witnesses that are yet to come before this commission. We continue to make a call that we appreciate the fact that, in fact, people who have exposed some of the maladministration and corruption is leaders of the ANC, it's members of the ANC, former cabinet ministers and current cabinet ministers who have come before this commission to expose malfeasance, expose corruption. And therefore we cannot allow a situation where there's intimidation, there's victimization, many of whom must still come here, and we think they must be protected. That's why we say we must not allow Trumpism to thrive, because it is meant to hide corruption. All those political parties who hypocritically supported the establishment of this commission, suddenly they are now attacking the integrity. For us, the issues of the venue, for example, who's hosting the building, is immaterial. What is important is the substance of what this commission and the terms of reference seeks to achieve. And therefore, what you see now is nothing else but it's a deliberate, orchestrated strategy of decoy and politics of distraction and deflection, to deflect the intention and the objective of this commission, but also to deflect what I call the attention from these political parties who in themselves are facing serious problems. You know that the marriage between EFF and the TA has suddenly broken down, and therefore they look for anybody to blame, including the African National Congress. They went to the marriage with their eyes open. They can't blame us. The fact that it's not working now, the coalition, it is not the responsibility of the ANC. They can't blame all South Africans for what is not working, because their common enemy when they went into coalition was the African National Congress, and therefore the people of South Africa. But our intention as people of South Africa is that we must unite, we must restore confidence to ethical leadership, we must re-establish confidence to public institutions, in making sure that all people of our country, they continue to have trust to the work of this commission. We want to applaud the chairperson of the commission, including other members, evidence leaders, for the sterling work that they continue to do and the attacks that they continue to endure, they must know that in the African National Congress, they've got an ally, they've got a support in the African National Congress. They must continue to do their work, because their work, it is a national duty. They are doing it on behalf of this country.
No, thank you very much, Zizi. And just to emphasize that the ANC has been on record supporting the work of the Commission, and going further to even urge our own members who may have information that could help the work of the Commission to also come forward. We have been making this statement consistently. We've also gone on to deploy the head of the presidency, Comrade Zizi Kodwa, who is here from time to time, so that when issues arise which may require the African National Congress to respond, we do so promptly, because we do support the work of the Commission. And like Zizi has said, our commitment to ethical leadership and making sure that we restore trust with the people of South Africa is also demonstrated by the sort of things that we're encouraging our members to do to boost and support the work of this Commission. We can now allow yourselves to bring forward your questions. Aldrin. CNBC, SABC. Aldrin, we can start with you.
Good afternoon, Aldrin Simpier from ENCA. Zizi, we spoke about this, the criticism being leveled against the ANC because it seems that you are coming out to defend Pravin Gordhan. The issue is that if any other member of the ANC appears before this commission and also come under attack, will we see the same sort of reaction from the ANC? Say, for instance, somebody like Des van Rooyen, if he appears here, will the ANC also come out to defend him?
What is important, if you understand, the attack to Pravin was not an attack to Pravin as a person, but Pravin as a witness was being used to undermine the work of this commission. Anybody that is being used who comes here voluntarily or subpoenaed by the commission and is under attack, it undermines the work of this commission. And yes, the African National Congress will not only support and defend Pravin. Anybody who comes here as a witness and therefore is being attacked because he's doing what the African National, that person or individual is responding to the call of the African National Congress, that voluntarily those who've got information must come and help within the terms of reference of this commission to help this commission to achieve its objective. We will defend anybody, but particularly there was a directed attack which was meant to victimize but also to intimidate witnesses, which was directed at Comrade Pravin.
Well, just to also emphasize that if we do not come out to defend the work of this commission, something that we stood up for, then we will be failing even those that might feel that they need to be coming and bring forward evidence or information that could help the work of the commission. So it's not necessarily a defense to just Comrade Pravin. It is a defense to all of those that have to be coming forward to participate or give evidence that may help in the work of the commission. It must be understood within that context. But sometimes individuals are being attacked to undermine integrities of institutions. In this instance, the attack on Pravin was meant to undermine the integrity of the very commission. Now, in the same way that we must defend free press, we are also out as well defending the press itself, and yet we do not have any special relationship with the media. Expect that, safe to say that we expect you guys to exercise your own freedom of the press without being intimidated. Articulate and advance views that are coming out of this commission without necessarily favoring those that might be raising this or that view. So that's why the tweet that Comrade Zizi issued out also spoke about us defending the right of the media to do their work. You must also say that. So you are only talking to Pravin and you are not saying, but there's also criticism that you said you are going to be defending us. So we are also saying that you must be allowed as members of the Fourth Estate to do your work without hindrance. CNBC?
CNBC Africa. First question. When former President Jacob Zuma went to trial at the beginning of his corruption trial, we saw a lot of ANC members coming out to support him. The optics don't look good for Pravin Gordhan. That's my first question. What does it say about the support he enjoys as an ANC member within the ANC that it took this long? And I personally have been here and I have not seen ANC regalia around. My second question, the ANC will be appearing before the Zondo Commission to represent itself with regards to what's been said about the banks and inferences with regards to deployment committee. Is the ANC also planning on coming before this commission to volunteer information about what it knew about state capture, because I don't think that part has been ventilated. Thank you.
Our submission will be in two parts. This morning we met with evidence leaders led by Deputy Secretary General Comrade Jesse in preparation of our submission and our appearance next week on Tuesday. Will be led by Comrade Gordhan, our national chairperson, who is a former Secretary General of the ANC. We are ready for Tuesday. We're not going to run away from the responsibilities of being a governing party. That is but one part of our submission. The second part of our submission will be led by the President. Having heard all the submissions that are yet to come, naturally, as a governing party, some of the revelations that come here, of course, they are embarrassing to the African National Congress. We'll deal with that. If there's a need for us to own up and acknowledge some of the responsibilities, we'll do that at the end, led by the President. We have already indicated that to the Commission. That will make two sets of submission. Should there be any need in between, there may be new evidence or a bombshell that may need another submission, the African National Congress will do everything in its part to help the work of this commission in whatever way, because we want this commission to succeed. There shouldn't be any conspiracies about whom do we support more than any other body. President Zuma has not appeared before this commission. We are talking about an attack which was directed to the Judicial Commission of Inquiry established by the President. And one of the witnesses, not President Zuma, it was Comrade Pravin Gordhan. There has been direct attacks, arsenals pointed at him, and we are dealing with that issue specifically.
My question was, why haven't we seen the same kind of support from ANC in support of Pravin Gordhan as we've seen in support of former President Zuma? That was my question.
But I think Comrade Zizi is clarifying that President Zuma has never been to this commission. I mean, we're talking about the work of this commission. It's going to be very unfortunate to try and throw preemptive strikes. So President Zuma has not been to this commission. So we are talking about what has transpired at this commission. And since Monday, the ANC has been saying that at the right time it will talk. We were supposed to have had a press briefing with yourselves yesterday. It didn't happen because there was a major announcement that was being that the president was doing. We did tell the media on Wednesday in KZN that we will be having that kind of a briefing. So we have never been shy as the African National Congress to come and restate our position. If you look even at all the statements we've issued since the commission has begun its work, we've always restated one singular message, our support for the work of the commission. We said the same even at the conclusion of the special NEC. We repeated the same line even when we concluded the National Working Committee in Mpumalanga this past Monday. Yes.
Mzwa.
Mzwandi Lembeji from the SABC. You know, some people are saying this commission is actually a platform where the competing factions of the ANC are really telling each other off, so to speak. Perhaps beyond that, we saw political parties like the EFF really coming out publicly saying they are working with some of you, like Malema said he was working with the faction of Supra to destroy the ANC. So don't you think that the divisions, perceived or real, so are a feeder to the opposition or to the notion really that you as the governing party are on trial?
The fact is, there is no alternative to the African National Congress. There is no opposition party with realistic policies, options, and alternative to the African National Congress. What we see is small parties that are fighting about who becomes the main opposition come 2019. The African National Congress remains the choice of the people of South Africa. We say that not to overplay how people receive the African National Congress positively. We say that with greatest humility, that we continue to enjoy, let alone the theory, the conspiracy theories. However, in the absence of any alternative, or in the absence of any facts, people can construct conspiracy theories about the African National Congress. What is clear is that the two parties we are talking about, both EFF and the Democratic Alliance, they are evaporating in the body politics of South Africa. We are likely not to see them come 2019. If we see them, we'll see them in a reduced percentage. And already their internal percentage, their internal research baseline indicate the fact that some of them, they've already dropped by 10% because what Nasrec has done, it has removed some of the weapons that they were using against us. One of the weapons they were using against us is corruption. They can see now we're no longer talking about corruption, we're acting on corruption, including the recently signed act by President Ramaphosa yesterday. He signed the Public Audit Amendment Act into law, which gives powers to the AG to deal with some elements who may undermine and use their office to undermine public administration. This is actually our work in action to deal with corruption. But they can see now that we are dealing with corruption, and therefore they have no space to deal with the African National Congress. That's why we say we are worried that probably at the end of this year and the end of this commission, there will be no EFF, there will be no Democratic Alliance, because they are no longer relevant, because they define their relevance on the basis of subjective weaknesses of the ANC, which Nazareth has dealt with.
Zizi, just a question for me. The submission that will be made by the president, can you tell us what the scope of that submission will be? Will he also speak about what he knows personally of state capture?
What is important, you'll know that some of the questions that have been asked by the honorable chairperson of this commission, as a governing party, we have a responsibility. We are given a mandate by the people of South Africa. The question is, what did we know? What did we not know? What did we do? What did we not do? Of course, we can't answer that at the beginning of the commission. This commission is going to sit for the next 2 years. And it's important that at the end, like we have done with the TRC, led by President Mbeki, we went to the TRC to explain our responsibility and our role in the liberation struggle of this country. We acknowledge some of the acknowledgement we needed to make through our submission. We will do the same as a governing party, because people of South Africa gave us a mandate to govern this country. The question is, what happened? How did we know? What did we know? What did we do? What did we not do? We have to answer that question, and the president will answer those questions in his submission. But the submission on Tuesday, led by former Secretary General Gordhan, will answer specific issues about the banks, but also respond to certain aspects of the testimony of Comrade Barbara Hogan.
Yes, Clement from Eyewitness News. How united are you as the ANC in defense of not only Pravin but this commission? Because you've got a mayor of Ekurhuleni venting out his frustration about how this commission, they're subjecting South Africans to sheer gossip. You've got Andile Lungisa in the Eastern Cape who says this is a battleground for factional battles in the ANC to play out, and you are here telling us that you're defending this, but it seems the attack is not only coming from the EFF. There are people within the ANC questioning the credibility of this, the work that is being done by this commission. How do you respond to this reckless, really, expression and reaction of what's happening here by your own members, senior members, I should add?
We have noted that there's been extreme ill-discipline by some members of the African National Congress, and to that extent, the Deputy Secretary General took an effort to speak to some of them, because what they might be tweeting, what they might be saying in whatever platform, it does not help the project of unity and renewal of the African National Congress. The names you are mentioning, there may be other names that we are aware of. The Deputy Secretary General has already acted, because one of the decisions we took was that we must be impatient with ill-discipline and we must act immediately. I can assure you that some of the names you are mentioned have already got an indication that their actions are not helping the broader resolutions of unity and renewal of the African National Congress. We want to condemn them. We want to condemn any member of the African National Congress that they must remember, we've got a policy on social media. We've got a policy on all these issues that we can't have all of us speaking at one go. We've got official spokesperson of the ANC, Pulemabe, and members of the communications team like Zizi, Jackson, and others. Those are the people who communicate on behalf of the ANC. If you've got views about any matter of the ANC, there are structures in the African National Congress, and we want to caution them that the patience of the national leadership who are getting here, very soon we may deal with those issues. But like I say, it does not mean the action of one individual does suggest that there's disarray in the African National Congress. The project of unity in the African National Congress is reverberating. Unity we can smell, you can touch it everywhere. But however, given the nature and the character of the ANC, there are those rogue elements and in members who continue to undermine that unity for their own selfish end.
Yes, just to also enforce one point, Clement, on what Zizi has said. You would have noticed that from our own statement of the special NEC, we did say that we need to immediately move to enforce the communications protocols, because the communications protocols do emphasize how members of the ANC, regardless of what position they hold in the structure, are expected to conduct themselves in those platforms. Now, the project of unity and renewal is one that requires discipline from amongst our cadreship throughout the country, from amongst all of our branches in the 53 regions of the Republic of South Africa. And of course, we are doing work. For instance, part of what the head of elections, Comrade Fikile Mbalula, is already doing is to run symposiums, to run workshops with our structures on this social media policy, on our own protocols, so that we can enforce our members pursuing and driving one common message. Because it must be many voices, one message, not the other way around.
Amil Amra from the Sunday Times. I just wanted to find out, sir, on a daily basis, there are allegations being made in the inquiry against senior leaders of the ANC, former cabinet ministers, and I'm sure there will be more. Now, the ANC has its own internal disciplinary mechanisms in place. I wanted to find out, when will the ANC deal with its members, judging by the allegations that come out here? Will they wait until the commission has completed and made findings, or will it deal with its members simultaneously as the years go by?
As we have cautioned before, including the media, that we caution against running commentary on the basis of the testimony of one witness, which is untested, which is not collaborated and corroborated. It's important to do so because that in itself undermines the work of this commission. At the end of this commission, the honorable chair of the commission will make recommendations and findings on the basis of submissions, on the basis of a testimony. Because other people may submit and give testimony to this commission and later withdraw and apologize. By then you would have run a public trial about that individual. So we want to make a word of caution, both to the media and the public, that we must not run public trial and infer guilt or judgments on the basis of a testimony of one individual. It will be premature of the ANC at this stage to say on the basis of a testimony of a member against another member, therefore the ANC must take a decision, because you'll be acting ahead of the commission. We must wait for the commission at the end to make its finding, to make its recommendation, and then we act.
Okay. No, thank you very much.
Hi, man.
Thank you very much. We'll make sure that we keep on updating you
Oh, thanks.
if there are any issues.